This is Draconian Combat, episode 105. I got my homie Harrison here today. How you doing, man?
Chilling, man. We got a lot to talk about. Well, not really, but we're gonna make something happen. So let's run it, man. It's been a long time since we had an episode, everyone. So we're back. Michael's been holding it down. We do a couple things on the weekend. We're betting, but giving you guys a formal episode to catch up on what's happening in MMA and boxing. But I can't help but start with Aiden Ross's mixed martial arts / boxing promotion. I don't like Aiden Ross.
You know it was at the Apex?
Huh?
Did you know it was at the Apex?
Oh boy.
Yeah, Dana White was there too.
Oh, it was literally at the Apex?
Yeah, it was at the Apex.
If I say what I want to say, man, I thought he was doing it in like a garage or something. That's what it looked like. But to hear
I think he used to.
So Dana White's funding Aiden Ross, I guess. Not surprising. But so you have what they do is they get a lot of black people who need money on these shows. And I'm not even sure if these guys really need money like that, man. Because these are like former NBA players. I don't really think they're broke, but they can almost do it for the fun of the game. So we had Aiden Ross fights. No, we had Ray J fight Super Hot Fire, I think. If you guys don't know Super Hot Fire, he used to do these skits on YouTube, comedic skits. And Ray J, he's something else. He's actually pretty funny, like online. But long story short, he gets knocked out. He gets slumped. He has a knot on his forehead. I'm really tired of these type of events because I feel like it makes the mockery of the sport. What do you think about that?
I was surprised because actually the fights before, like the boxing matches before, the MMA fights were actually competitive. Okay. And they're actually good. They're actually good fights. So it's kind of, well, I get why they put it last is because they're like social media influencers and celebrities. But the real show was before the circus act started. So they had some real good boxers on there. I don't know if they're really good boxers, but they looked good matched up against each other.
Yeah. It's not like you can put on good cards, but they want to get people who have like a name and stuff. So I guess it is what it is. But to see that they were doing MMA, well, first Ray J is not a fighter. I was talking to my roommate last night. He's like, were there any fights? I was like, not really. I said, Ray J fought. He's like, man, Ray J not a fighter. I was like, he's not, bro. And then here's the kick, though, right? I guess after the fight, Ray J says something about how they were supposed to let him win. So what do you think about that?
I think he's lying.
I think he's lying.
I think he's using like reverse psychology or something.
Yeah, I agree.
He said, damn, it's like that.
Nah, that was funny. I think he's lying, but I don't put it past them to start fixing fights. But he got knocked out for real, bro. It is what it is. What did you make of his fighting ability?
It looked bad. I was a little confused with Super Hot Fire in that first round because he was running around a lot. Mm-hmm. But I think he did it on purpose. But Ray J, I don't know. Just some people can't fight. They had some other questionable matches on that same fight card too as well. They had midgets fight, or not midgets, dwarfs. I can't say that. My bad. Dwarfs. They had dwarfs fight, and one of them was pretty good at wrestling. They had a dude with no neck fight a dude. That dude looked like Diddy.
And then they had this Epstein lookalike as a guest there. I think
I saw that.
There's this guy on social media. This white people stuff. Speaking of bad fights, though, it just came to mind what happened last weekend, right? We had Diaz versus Perry. We had Rousey versus Carano. I was going to bet on Perry, and I didn't bet. I ended up not making it. And I put all my money on Gina Carano. And she got subbed in the first 10 seconds. And they
Bro, I would have told you that was the most bullshit bet in America. Like, that's crazy.
What did you think about those fights? They're pretty bad. I'll just put it like that. What did you think?
I thought Ronda was gonna do exactly what she did. I didn't think she was gonna do it that fast though. I thought it would have went for at least like a minute and a half before she pulled something like that. but it went exactly how I thought it was going to go. It sucks for Gina Carano because she lost a lot of weight and she hasn't fought like 20 years or something like that. So they should have matched her up with somebody that was going to strike with her. Like, we got to see no striking for Gina Carano. We got to see no striking for Ronda. So,
Right.
And I think it was like 12 seconds or something? Super fast. I thought it was good for the fighters to get paid who were fought in that promotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a bullshit fight. I thought the Diaz versus Perry fight was crazy. I thought the ref was crazy because he should have stopped that shit. The only reason they stopped it is because Nate Diaz's cutman, he said no. He's like, I'm not letting him go out there. And they ended up stopping the fight. Diaz should never fight again, but he's a grown ass man.
It's just Diaz. He just looks bad when he fights. I should have known that.
He was looking away like this.
Right. Yeah, he does that turning around stuff, and it's just a bad look. I should have known Perry was going to win because he's in fighting shape. But I had seen some Diaz clips, and he actually looked like he was in shape. And then I watched his boxing stuff against Masvidal. I was like, he doesn't look horrible. I was like, Mike Perry's not a world beater, but at the end of the day, Diaz cuts always get him. And, I mean, he's quitting too, but at the same time, those cuts don't help. He has bad scar tissue. I think that's a real thing for some fighters. Diaz has bad scar tissue. I want to say GSP used to have bad scar tissue. I could be wrong. Or maybe that was a myth. But Diaz definitely has the worst scar tissue in mixed martial arts combat sports. Do you think that's something? So you think Diaz should retire? He should just be done.
Yeah, because there's no point. I don't know if you saw the interview with him and Mike Perry. And I like Diaz, but it's like, bro, like, there's no point no more. You don't got to do it. And it's only affecting your speech worse and worse. But yeah, he's a grown-ass man, so he can do what he wants. You know, Tony Ferguson, we told Tony Ferguson not to compete in the UFC. But outside of the UFC, he looks pretty good. He just can't compete at that level anymore.
Right. He's looking better. He can compete at that level, and I don't want to tell Diaz not to chase a check because from what I saw, he may have made $500,000, which isn't bad. I think the blood makes the beating look worse than it actually was. So, you know, shout out to these fighters for getting paid. I still don't like these fight cards. I think it's garbage. We saw Francis do what he did to that guy. I had money on that fight too and lost it because I thought the guy was going to make it out the first round. Go ahead.
No, that's just terrible.
Yeah, terrible betting. And then I guess Francis made $1 million. I guess that's what he said. And I know he made a lot of money because he gave $100K up to the other dude. That's what I heard. Damn. And I believe Francis is pretty genuine, so I believe he actually did that. But is there anybody on that side of the street who can beat Francis?
No, but what came out of something good out of that promotion we got to see is Logan Paul wants to compete with Dana White. I don't know if he can do it as far as the competition, level of competition, but I know he can do it as far as getting the views, paying fighters a lot more money. And what we saw was John Jones at the event, and they're teasing a fight of John Jones versus Francis underneath the Jake Paul's promotion MVP. So yeah, there's some weird fights on there. I think in the long run it can work out as long as they don't turn it into like a Bellator. You know what I mean? Like the rejects fighters go there. Make it a place where fighters like Adrian McKee that want to get paid, but they don't want to go to the UFC. Well, they can go to MVP. They're going to pay him a lot more than UFC. But I think I see good things at MVP. Aiden Ross is a little bit different. Brandwis is a little bit different. That's more of like it's more like your celebrity fighting. Like it's supposed to be comical. I mean, I think they had like 6'9" performing too. So I think they're both different, but I think MVP has the potential.
I don't rate either of the promotions. I don't really consider MVP legit. It's just like another PFL or Bellator to me. Like all these wannabe competitors, I guess maybe they'll attract more attention because of Jake Paul and the names he can bring. But ultimately, unless he's consistently paying guys like that, because they said he paid everybody over $40,000. I mean,
yeah, good luck with doing that in UFC though.
I mean,
I think they're getting more strict. You can't have you can't have shit in UFC. They own you once you sign that contract. Dana and Hunter own you.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. UFC is I don't want to say slavery, but relative to other
You better be an
sports,
Alex Pereira.
yeah, you better be an Alex Pereira, you better be a Charles Oliveira, you better be a Taporia. Um, Otherwise, you guys are going to be fighting for pennies, or you could find yourself in the middle of the pack like a Kevin Holland or a Bobby Green who have made millions. I'm pretty sure they've made millions because they're entertaining.
That's a grind, though.
It's a grind, yeah,
They are grinding.
yeah. It's not
They're
easy. It's not an easy million. They're fighting 3, 4 times a year, maybe five, coming in on
they're gonna
short notice.
have, dude. They're gonna have way more fights than Alex Pereira on their record. But look at the competition. Look at the damage less taken. You know what I mean? So
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But I think
that's a tough. That's a
I
tough.
think they're
My
in good
bad.
health. But not many guys can find that sort of niche within the UFC.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Holland, it's Bobby Green, it's maybe Jim Miller. He got the submission. He's older. He's like at the end of his career, but he's held on. So I know he's made over $1 million, being a less than ideal fighter, right? Um, but it's either you find that spot or you end up as a champion. Um, and all these other guys, I think you're making 50,000, 40,000, which isn't bad money, but in the world of fighting, I hear that's they take away 50% after you pay your managers, your coaches, stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's a cold game, and especially at the lower levels where we kind of deal with people where they're getting $500 and $1,000. It's like, bro, I hope you end up being the best. That's all I can really tell them. But we'll use that to segue into boxing because last night, the quote unquote best heavyweight boxer of all time, according to white people, Alexander Usyk, he fought a
Clip
kickboxer.
that.
He fought a kickboxer and got beat up. He was losing so bad, I actually turned off the fight because I thought it was an embarrassment to the sport of boxing. I was like, this is garbage. How is this guy the great? You guys say he beat Ali and all these great heavyweights, and he's losing to a kickboxer with no boxing experience, who fights like a scrub. Like he fights horribly. So long story short, I tuned back in after the fight's over, and everyone's telling me that Usyk got a robbery. So the ref stopped the fight pretty much as soon as the other guy was hurt, so Usyk wouldn't lose on the scorecards. And to me, this goes back into all the corruption about boxing. And so my question to you is, will corruption ever stop in sports, especially MMA, boxing more so, if the stupid fans move on in 1 week? Because a week from now, nobody's going to care, and they're going to rob us again. And then 3 weeks from now, they're going to rob us again, and they're going to keep doing it. What's your take on corruption in boxing and what can actually be done?
I don't know what can be done, to be honest.
Nothing.
Because you're dealing with people that have money, like money.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there's so many different promotions in boxing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do about that. Boxing's so old too. Like, something in the UFC that's probably easy to catch and fix like right away. But boxing is so developed, and it's been going on for a minute. It's gonna happen again. It's gonna be on a card that no one expects it to happen on, and it's gonna happen again. What would you say? That's why I was so happy to see Terrence Crawford have such a dominant performance against Canelo, where it made it almost crazy for them to even try to do anything crazy or try to deny anything. That's what made his performance so beautiful. There's no question in it. He got dominated. He got his ass whipped. He got controlled. He got smoked. He got outboxed. But like when you have this fight with Usyk and this kickboxer dude, who I never heard of. From what I heard, he was winning the whole fight. And basically, the only way for him to win that fight would have been to finish Usyk. I'll bring up another robbery. Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, the first fight.
Correct. I agree.
Okay. But that's another example where you have somebody coming outside of their distance. And this is another example of a robbery, but this is also another example of someone coming outside their discipline to compete in boxing for the first time. Um, and that's another example of the only way for Francis to beat Tyson Fury would have been to finish him.
Correct.
And yeah, I think what we saw last night, what a lot of people saw, we saw a dude, a kickboxer, dominate a professional boxer. And when it looked like the victory was in his hand, the ref just ripped away from him. Didn't even give him a chance to fight. It wasn't like he was getting fucked up the entire fight, and then finally after the 10th time, the ref was like, oh no, no more, you know, getting fucked up 5 rounds in a row. Okay, no more. It's like boom, just one time, and they stopped it. I don't know what you do about that, man. I really don't know what you would do.
All you can ask is the people with money to have some integrity, but good luck, right? And to your point, Francis, they both had to get the finish. Terrence Crawford, he had to be so dominant because if the fight halfway looked close, they would give it to Canelo. If it halfway close. They would have. Crawford won 8 rounds to 4, they would have gave it to Canelo. He won pretty much 11, 12 rounds, right? And so it would have to be, and I'm surprised they didn't rob him. I still thought they were going to rob him. That's how dirty boxing is, but I'm happy he was so dominant, and he probably understood that. But he shouldn't have to be that dominant for him to get the victory, and that's what I don't like. And one of the people I listened to brought up an interesting point yesterday about people coming from a different discipline, right? And I'll let you speak on this because you'll understand it better. Francis and this other guy came from kickboxing and mixed martial arts. They step into a boxing ring, and I don't think there's any excuse for this, but I'll get your thoughts. The boxers aren't used to the rhythm of a different discipline because the MMA fighter and the kickboxer, they come from a different school. So the way they move is different, their timing is different. Whereas somebody who was already a boxer, you kind of know what to expect from them because they were in the same school of boxing. You know their foot positioning, you know their hand placement, their defense, stuff like that. Do you think, even though the MMA and kickboxer are at a disadvantage ultimately, do you think there are advantages from coming from a discipline like that into a boxing ring to throw off a boxer's rhythm?
Yeah, because it's just a different, like I think with the Francis and Tyson, it was a different style for Tyson. With this kickboxer versus Usyk, it was a different style. Like his movement was awkward, unorthodox, you know, compared to like the science of boxing, where everything might need to be very, very textbook. They may be loose in other areas because of their martial arts background. And kind of like with the Anthony Joshua versus what's his name? The fat boy that beat him, the Mexican.
Ruiz.
Beat the brakes off him in that first fight. That's another, like, throwing those awkward punches. I think Francis, Ruiz, that kickboxer dude, they're good strikers and just very naturally athletic. So making that transition would be normal. And it might throw off a boxer. A great boxer, they can adapt to it, though. That's the thing.
Right. A great boxer adapts, and I'll use that to segue into our next topic, which is about the White House card. But for the past couple of days, Ryan Garcia and Ilya Topuria have been going at each other on Twitter. Long story short, Topuria says he'll walk over to boxing, knock out Ryan Garcia, and he said Ryan Garcia only had success and his biggest win was because he was on steroids. Up to this point, Ilya Topuria has not tested dirty. It doesn't mean he's not dirty, but he hasn't tested dirty, so I can't call him a dirty fighter. I feel like Ilya Topuria is, how would you put it? I feel like he's a pretty stand-up guy, even though I think he's ducking Armin and other people. Regardless, he gets into a back and forth with Ryan Garcia. Ryan doesn't deny what Topuria says. He just says, well, in MMA, they do steroids. So what are your thoughts on a fight like Topuria versus Ryan in boxing? We know what happens in MMA, so there's no point in talking about it. What happens in Ryan versus Topuria in boxing? And why do Ryan Garcia fans continue to ignore him being on steroids against Haney? Because you did this too when I brought it up.
Go ahead. I didn't ignore it. I said Haney was being a bit much for Silly.
Go
Instead
ahead.
of getting it back in blood.
He's trying to get it back. But that's another topic. Go ahead, though.
Oh, by the way, they were sitting right next to each other at the Ray J fight last night.
Right, they were. I saw that. Yeah. Was that the Ray J fight? I thought they were sitting next to each other at the Usyk fight, not the Ray J fight.
I thought that was a Ray J fight. Oh, you know what? That may have been the Usyk fight then. You're probably right.
That was the Usyk fight.
Right. You're probably right.
Teofimo Lopez was at the Ray J fight.
That's probably why I got it confused.
Yeah, you got it confused. Yeah. But go ahead. I'll let you cook on Topuria versus Ryan Garcia in a boxing ring. Actually, Ryan Garcia still wins.
Yeah, I think Ryan Garcia wins. No doubt. I think Topuria will find some success in like the first rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he can keep that pace, that boxing pace. I don't think he has that speed that a boxer has. He has speed and power too, but just boxing is a little bit different. I don't know. A lot of these guys think they can come over and outbox boxers. I think they're two different disciplines.
Right.
But I do think that he might do better than what Conor did against Floyd.
Yeah. I think that's possible, but Ryan Garcia does have some good hand speed. I'll give him that. But then there's also the height differences. Topuria is like a midget. Like if I look up his height, I think Topuria might actually be like 5'4". Topuria height. They say 5'7". Yeah, he should fight Tank. They say Topuria is 5'7". I don't believe that. I think he's closer to 5'5". Speaking of which, Tank Davis, right? After beating on women for the past couple months, Tank Davis has announced his return to the ring. He's fighting like his mandatory, which is like the equivalent of like I think you know mandatories in boxing, right?
Yeah, or else they lose like their belt or something.
Right, something like that, right? So he's fighting his mandatory. But what's more concerning? Oh, I got another topic after this too, a good one. But what's more concerning is Tank. I'm not even going to address that because that might take us to a different place. Tank Davis, he's been out the ring for like a year. Did you see the Lamont Roach fight?
Lamont, yeah. That was a good fight.
That was a great fight. I thought he lost that fight.
Yeah, I did too.
How do you think long layoffs affect MMA fighters? Even if they're coming back, training, getting to camp and stuff like that. How do you think this will affect Tank Davis? Will he come back and be the same Tank, or are we going to see somebody who's been hit by the trials of life?
He'll be the same Tank.
You said
he's been doing it. Yeah, he's been doing it since an early age, and it's like tying his shoe. Not only that, but he's still young. If Tank was a little bit older, like Adrian Broner, then I would say no. I don't think so.
We'll talk about
now. Like if someone like Adrian Broner's age has been training the entire time and has a discipline like Terrence Crawford at that age, it differs because you've been putting in the work, you've been staying consistent, committed. For someone like Tank, though, I think he's just so athletically gifted, and I believe he just needs 2 or 3 months to step back into it. I really believe that. Mayweather was the same way. But actually, Mayweather was a lot more disciplined with his training, too. But I think Tank can do it. He's still young, though. He's still young.
No, I do want to see him come back because he's pretty entertaining. I think he lost that last fight. But back to what we were talking about earlier, the underdog has to completely dominate for them to get a victory on the scorecards in boxing because there's no way they're going to let their cash cow Tank Davis lose to a mandatory like Lamont Roach was at the time or whatever it was. So that leads us into another boxing topic, right? Adrian Broner and Dean the Great, man. So I don't like any of these streamers. I don't watch any of these streamers. I got hip to Dean the Great maybe a month and a half ago because he was swinging on random people. Like I would see him like swing on people at parties. He low-key had some hands, but I was like, I don't know if this justified, you beating him up. Like one video, I don't know. So he seems like he's really trying to be a fighter, but I don't know. I kind of feel like that's weak. But regardless, he does what he does. Somehow he decides to team up with Adrian Broner, man. And Adrian Broner, he's really a sad story, but he's always been funny. So that stayed with him. Despite everything that's happened, he's still a funny guy. So I told Michael that I think Dean the Great's kind of exploiting Adrian. But as I've been watching their interactions over time, I don't know their business. I think they're kind of just a good tandem. And I look at it less like exploitation, but more just like a partnership. I don't think Dean the Great's really trying to help Adrian Broner like that, but it's like, hey, we're a good team. Let's make some bread together. But the funniest thing was when apparently Adrian Broner stole money from Dean the Great. And I don't think that was an act. I think that was for real, right? What are your thoughts on the partnership? Do you see that they can have a future? What would you do for them if you were their manager?
I'd have them continue doing what they're doing, and either have Adrian Broner coach Dean the Great for his fights, teach him how to tighten up his boxing, get better at boxing, or both of them get back in shape and both of them get back to fighting. But if Adrian Broner gets back to fighting, I like to see him on this something like this brand risk boxing, like get him on something like that. Maybe fight against somebody, could be an MMA fighter, fighting a boxer. Give him Tony Ferguson. I don't know.
For real.
Those are the type of fights that are on there. But I don't. If Adrian does come back, I think it needs to be fights that make sense for him at this point in his career. But no, if that doesn't go, I think that Adrian Broner just be Dean the Great's coach, man. Teach him how to box, tighten up his boxing, because he's the one that's actually young and wants to do it.
Right. No, I think that would be the perfect story. But it's like Adrian Broner is still too drunk. And you had this video that dropped, I think, yesterday, 2 days ago, right? Adrian Broner kind of taps this girl on her butt as she's walking up. And this broad gonna say, I've never had that done to me. I'm almost on the verge of crying. Just some BS, in my opinion, right? So apparently all this happened. I mean, I saw the video. I said, okay. And the next day,
if Dean the Great did it, she would have liked it.
And I tweeted that. I said, if Dean the Great did it, you wouldn't have had a problem.
I'm not saying that any of this is good to do anyways.
We're not saying that. We're just saying what it is.
Yeah.
If Dean the Great did it, and he did it without consent, she still wouldn't have had a problem, because it's about who's doing it. Because it was old Uncle Adrian.
Hey, but you know what? I'd be uncomfortable too if he touched me.
Hey, if Adrian Broner touches you, I understand if he's gonna get uncomfortable. Hey, this is just a lesson to like men. You have to know if the girl's into you. If she's into you, go ahead, do that. She's gonna, hey, he's cute. It's cool. But if you look like Adrian the Broner, or that's where your life is, and you come across as the creep, just don't do it, man. But ironically, the next day she's kicking it with him. Adrian Broner in the club, right? After this girl had been traumatized. I said, dude, what's wrong with these girls, bro? And to me, she's just a clout chaser. Michael, do you want to give any game to people who might find themselves in a situation like that?
Just keep your hands to yourself. Shit. And if you drink alcohol, you got to know yourself, and you got to know your alcohol. Right. So it's like, for someone like him, which is crazy that they stream this on live. It is kind of exploiting him, but he's agreeing to it. But you gotta control yourself, control your liquor. Dean the Great, if you know your homeboys like that, you gotta watch him to stop him from making other people uncomfortable, but stop him from destroying himself, because it could have gone differently. She could have pressed charges. Yeah. So you got to also look out for your homeboy too, since you both are agreeing to do this. In a way, it is kind of like exploiting his alcoholism addiction. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think you brought up a good point, because Dean the Great's inviting him on. Adrian Broner's a grown man, so look out for yourself. But at the time, his situation, and you're inviting him. I think it's on Dean to take at least a little bit of responsibility, because you know how he's going to be. So, make sure you're on Adrian. Let him know, like, hey, man, relax. You might drink too much, blah, blah, blah. I think it all goes back to, can you control your liquor? Because ultimately, I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting drunk. But if you can't control it, like me, who had issues, then you probably need to chill out for a bit. So, Adrian, I hope you end up getting sober, but I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen for you, dog. But I hope it does. I'll put it like that. And to stay on boxing, right? I don't know if you saw the video. We had Clarissa Shields slapped up out of Alicia Bumgarner.
Yeah, she's going to do the Devin Haney lawsuit now.
She did the Devin Haney lawsuit, and a lot of people online are calling Clarissa the big, black, angry black woman. How dare you slap light-skinned Alicia Bumgarner? So we're going to talk about it, man. We're going to what do you call it? Address the elephant in the room, right? I'll state my opinion first real quickly, and I'll get yours. One, I think Clarissa's right for slapping Alicia. She said she's going to knock her out in front of her face, so Clarissa slapped her. There's nothing else to it. I don't think there's any problem with that. These are grown fighters. People say, oh, they're women. You have to act classy. These are women fighters, bro. And that's what they are. So they should be ready to fight. Alicia's I'm not going to say it on here, but she's wrong for suing Clarissa. And I think there's a lot of racism in this, even though they're both black.
Clarissa's suing.
No, yeah, now Clarissa's countersuing.
Oh, that's what. Oh, okay. So she's countersuing.
No. She's countersuing because she said Alicia's defamation of character, acting like Alicia's acting like Clarissa did all this and that. So then Clarissa said, "I'll get my legal team to countersue you because you're putting out bad stuff about me." So Clarissa Shields said, she went on Twitter and said, "Y'all just don't like a confident, dark-skinned black woman," and I agree with her. I do. But someone like me, I can look at that and see, all right, I stand with Clarissa. I think she's right about what they say about darker skinned black women. At the same time, I do think Alicia is cuter. I think most guys think Alicia is cuter. So they kind of side with Alicia, like she's going to sleep with them or something. But what are your thoughts on that, man? It's a lot that goes into it. This is woman beef, but it's interesting.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can sue anybody for anything. So if you're going to put your hands on somebody, you have to accept that they might sue you. I think it's not the first time something like that's happened in boxing or MMA, but it's mostly with a guy and a guy suing another guy. A fighter suing a male fighter suing another male fighter just sounds soft. So,
I think
unless you're Kobe Covington.
Yeah, that's the only person I was gonna say. Unless you're Colby Covington, he's the only person I've seen do that. Most guys, if they get it in outside the ring, they just leave it at that. But to do what Kobe did is some hoe stuff. Do you think? Who do you side with in the situation?
Oh, I don't really care, to be honest. I don't side with neither of them.
Either, but they
need to just put it aside, and instead of all the bullshit. At this rate, we're never gonna see the fight. So. Y'all want to fight or what? So let's do it.
And the problem is Alicia doesn't want to move up and wait to fight Clarissa. So it's kind of hoe stuff because she's a couple divisions down, but she keeps talking at Clarissa for clout. So put on some weight, fight Clarissa. Clarissa's going to beat you up. That's what's really going to happen. Clarissa actually has hands. Alicia's overrated. She just gets propped because she's pretty. And then Alicia's been on steroids.
You think she can come down a little bit?
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think she can come down to Alicia's natural weight where she fights. And I'm not sure what a heavyweight girl is, like what division they fight at. But I wish they could find a middle ground, to your point. I wish they could find a middle ground. That would be the biggest women's boxing fight. You know, that'd be a big deal. My computer's playing games, dog. Can you see me still?
Yeah.
Shoot.
You say he was on 10%, didn't you?
But that's why I'm standing up, because I started charging it. But I think we can still go. I'll see. Well, we have another topic, and then because we're at 35 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So you guys will close it out with this, right? The UFC White House is coming up. Topuria Gaethje, Pereira, Cyril Gane. We'll talk about those two fights. And we'll start with Gaethje versus Topuria, because Gaethje said something the other day on an interview I heard that let me know he's about to get knocked out. He said, I want to make it a dog fight with Topuria. I saw Max Holloway have success. He's correct. He said he saw Charles Oliveira have success. That's not true. Charles Oliveira didn't have success. But Gaethje, knowing him, said he's ready to get in there. It sounds like he's ready to box with Topuria. What are your thoughts on the fight? Is Gaethje delusional? I think he is. What are your thoughts?
I think Gaethje believes what he says, but
right.
I believe he wants to perform because it's the White House card.
Right.
But I think we're going to see a dominant performance by Ilya.
Yep.
I think we're going to have to see him get outboxed, possibly knocked out. Really.
Oh, honestly. Yeah, Gaethje get knocked out. I'm planning on betting on it.
And I like Gaethje, but that's how I see that fight.
No, it's unfortunate. Gaethje, I think you're getting slept. Maybe within 3 rounds if you make it. Does Gaethje have any chance? Is there anything you can do game plan wise? The only thing that comes to mind for me are his leg kicks, but I don't expect him to really use that. So should he wrestle? He's not really an offensive wrestler. Is there anything Gaethje can do?
Tuck his chin. Because even the way he fights and comes forward, it's just that's exactly what Ilya wants.
Yeah,
dude, Ilya could fight going backwards and still acquire knockout power moving backwards.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. I think you just fight your ass off if you're Justin Gaethje. I think utilize your wrestling. That's your original background. Utilize your wrestling when you're close up and you get in the clinch. Try to take it to the ground. And that's all I can say for him, really. Utilize his wrestling, most definitely, though.
Yeah, Gaethje, that's about the best advice we can give you, man. Because if you stand, you're getting knocked out. It just is what it is. But, yeah, I'll just leave it like that. Gaethje, I really don't have too much hope for you, dog. But I know it's going to be entertaining for as long as it lasts. That much I do know about Gaethje, and that's what I respect about him. I do think he puts on entertaining fights, which leads us – is the Gaethje fight the main fight, or is the Pereira fight the main event?
Pereira.
Okay, that leads to our main event. Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane. Alex Pereira recently got a new UFC contract. He thanked Macedonia for blessing his career and giving him money and stuff. And all these fighters are on their knees for Trump at the White House, which was kind of disgusting to me. I understand you have to – you don't have to have respect for him. No, you don't. I understand you want to go to the White House and be respectful. But I don't know, man. It just seemed like there was a lot of glazing going on. So,
did you hear Ilya tell Mr. Trump in the Oval Office? It's like, I always thought you was going to be like a mean person, but you're actually really nice in person.
Bro, that was
like, yeah, they usually give me that false perception to people.
I did see that, and to me, that was Topuria cooning.
He's really such a nice guy.
Yeah, you're such a nice guy. Shut up, Topuria. But I understand the politics, so I ain't got to go too hard on him. But that was some glazing unnecessarily by Topuria and Gaethje. I don't think Pereira really understood anything that was being said in the first place. He just be up there with his translator, like. So
that was good for him, though.
Yeah, it's good for them, though. I'm not mad at the guys. I guess we'll see. I'm curious to see how the White House card is actually going to look like. Is it going to be in the backyard? Speaking of which, they were just shooting out the White House yesterday. Are people going to get shot out the White House?
I'm telling you. Actually, I don't even know if I can say this on YouTube, but if there's a time for something to happen, it's going to be at UFC White House, bro.
You're right. Not to be conspiracy theorists, but I really
I didn't even say what it was, but y'all can piece it together.
Y'all can piece it together. We're not going to go into too much detail, but if there was a time and a place, it'd be the UFC White House card. If there was a time and a place, that's all I'll say about that. But what do you think about the matchup? Cyril Gane, Alex Pereira. Who do you like? I like both guys, actually, but I'm rooting for Gane. But I think Pereira gets him, but at the same time, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think Gane should win, but I'm rooting for Pereira. But I also think that I don't know. I think Pereira can get him, but I don't know how he moves at heavyweight. This will be the first time we see him move around at heavyweight with another heavyweight. He for sure will have the same power, if not hit a little bit harder. But deep down, I think I know Gane might have the advantage. But, man, I'm going for Pereira. I'm going to put my money on Pereira.
I don't want to put money on this fight. I don't think it'll go all the way. That's all I can say. But I think Pereira is going to put on the weight, and it's not going to affect him too much. I feel like he's a naturally pretty big guy. I also feel like he's wanted to go to heavyweight for some time, but was just forcing himself to cut down in weight. I do think Cyril Gane's underrated. I think he's probably the second best striker at heavyweight outside of Pereira. But I don't know if Pereira is so dominant that Gane has nothing for him. Gane's a very skilled dude, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't think we're going to get any grappling. I think we're going to see these guys stand up, which is good. I think Gane is the bigger dude as far as mass, but I don't know how far that goes in this type of fight, where Pereira has the more narrow frame. I guess we're looking at Pereira sort of – does he fight like a Muay Thai fighter? I almost feel like Gane fights more like a Muay Thai fighter. Or maybe I'm tripping.
They both, in a way, kind of bounce in their movement.
Yeah, they're bouncing their movement, but I was thinking it feels like Pereira has more of a kickboxer style and Gane has more of a Muay Thai style. If you ignore their stances, I guess regardless, I think it should be good, though. I think that's a good main event. But I'm not too pleased about the rest of the card. You have Josh Hokett, and let's talk about him for a second, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, everything he's doing is an act, because there is some video I think online where it said, Josh Hokett without the act or the whatever his gimmick is, the Colby Covington gimmick. Apparently, he seemed pretty cool. I haven't seen it, but Josh Hokett, Derek Lewis. Is Derek Lewis going to get knocked out again?
He's about to get fucked up.
Yeah,
he's about to get fucked up, and then Hokett's going to call out Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
He said he's going to chama on his mama.
Yeah, that UFC White House press conference, right? I think personalities like Hokett are necessary, though. It's like we get a gimmick every 2 years from one of these white American fighters. Chael Sonnen, Colby Covington. Colby Covington passed the torch to Hokett, right? I'm not mad at it, though. I'm really not mad at it, because at the end of the day, fighters have to promote themselves, even if they stoop to low levels, like a Strickland. But hey, man, I like Hokett. I think he's a decently entertaining fighter. I don't think he's championship material, though. No. I really don't think so. But he can still get better. So I don't want to write him off, but I don't think he's at that level. So we'll see what happens with him. I think he's going to knock out Derek Lewis, though. Derek Lewis is over the hill. Derek Lewis is going to get hit and probably quit. So I can see a TKO finish. I used to think Derek Lewis would have that one-punch knockout power that could still creep in, but I gave up on that. I don't believe in that anymore. I have to see it again to believe it. But that's what's janky about MMA. He can mess around and knock out Hokett, and it's just dude, what? So
yeah, just crushes his whole thunder.
Yeah,
and then goes back and loses his next fight.
And then loses his next fight, gets knocked out again. So that's the janky world of mixed martial arts. But we pretty much touched on a lot of topics in 45 minutes. I thought we were going to try and keep the show at 25 minutes, but there are just so many things that came up, everyone. So we'll be back again, though. Michael, I think we could run another show probably later this week, or we could run a betting show on Saturday, and then maybe and then post-fight show on Sunday, or after show.
Yeah, just let me know. I'm doing the show Wednesday.
Okay.
I am on call for work Saturday, and I'm helping my homie move Saturday. So Saturday, I would say towards the evening, I can do a show, and then Sunday at any time I could do a show.
Okay. So anyone watching, be sure you're here on Wednesday. We'll have a show, and then over the weekend, we'll summarize what's happened in mixed martial arts and boxing. We'll preview the UFC White House card in more detail. By the time we run the next show together, I'm sure some BS will have popped off in the MMA community and boxing community, because there always is. So we'll touch on those topics. But thank you all for watching Draconian Combat. Michael, you want to sign us out?
Yep, this is Draconian Combat, episode 105. We're out.
We're out. Thank you.